every great economy at one point experienced a downturn. We did in the United States in 2008. And so when I make my videos and I talk about all these kind of things, about job losses, about the real estate bubble, about car repos that are going through the roof, it is absolutely crazy when you talk about all of these things, and all of these things are happening simultaneously. And some of you guys can really connect the dots and say, hey, maybe I should trim my spending back. Maybe I should be a little bit aware. And just like, hey, if all these stars line up correctly, it's going to be really, really bad, and something's got to give. It is like saying that you cannot milk a cow to no end. At one point, there's just no milk in it, and you're like, hey, we have to do something else. And then you either get more cows or you're just kind of done. They turn off the tap, right? And when I'm looking at all of these comments, and I'm looking at all of these housing markets, and I'm looking at all these job markets, and I don't see a bunch of people besides Apple saying that we're going to hire Americans in droves. I got this article today that the VA is saying that they're going to cut about 83,000 people. And LA is looking at making cuts too. LA County, they're cutting down city workers. We know that the tech sector's already experienced huge downturns. And now let's do a little thinking and some hypothetical scenarios. If you lose your job and you're like, oh my gosh, I just lost my job, the first thing on your mind is probably not, let's go buy a house. Because if you're coming to the closing table and there is no job and you are not employed at the time of closing, a bank is probably not going to lend you. So what do? You're like, shit, I'm out of luck. Let's not go forward with it. And you either stick with the house you got, or you stay in your apartment and move on. So now all these people got laid off. And now they're like, oh, I can't make the payment. So what happens? Well, they either get repoed or something, they sell it in the private market, and that puts downwards pressure on cars. I saw Lucky Lopez's video yesterday, and he does like car stuff, and he talks about the car market. And I looked at that, and he's talking about that these repo companies are taking now, they're only taking high-end cars from super qualified banks, because repos companies are charging them, these companies or these banks, $1,000 per car. And they said, if you have a little shitbox car, they don't want to spend $250, $500 because the lots are getting full. And so they're only taking top banks that pay the high dollars, because you have a Lexus, you have something else nice. And then it's like, okay, I can see it. So they'll take that $1,000 and say, hey, we're only going to do tier one. And so everybody else is kind of gets a pass. But this just tells you how dire all these different scenarios are. And we're looking at Americans, consumers strapped in cash. There's still layoffs on the horizon because we're in so much debt, we're in so much trouble that we just gotta cut costs and trim down the spending, because not everybody can live in these $1 million houses. But when you look around Miami, there's so many of them for sale in the multi-million dollars. And Tom sent me an article like this saying that, hey, in this little Utah town, half of them were like Airbnbs, and now they can't keep it up, so they're throwing them back on the market. And most of these people are top income earners that have to spare money, that got greedy and said, you know what, let's invest in this town because the Airbnb market's supposed to be great, this supposed to be great. And what do? We're gonna literally buy an Airbnb and make a shit ton of money. Well, now the music stopped, and now you're sitting on this so-called asset that you purchased, and now it's not an asset anymore. Now it turned into a huge liability. And this is what I tell you guys all the time. Not every asset is an asset over the time you own it. It can turn into liabilities really quick. So now what do you do as a wealthy person? Well, you throw it on the market. But the problem is if this guy throws his house on the market and this guy throws his house on the market and your next door other neighbor throws your house on the market, there's 3 houses on the same street. And now you're like, as a buyer that is thinking about buying this, is gonna say, who can I lowball the most, or where can I get the best deal, the best location for the lowest price? And now the deals are going to start to come, because it might be that one sells and all these other houses all around here are not going to sell. So now you're in a kind of predicament, because what do you do? So now it's going to be a race to the bottom, because as you have good credit, you say, if I sell it for a loss, or I sell it for this much, and I'll take a $50,000, $60,000 loss, I'll make it up with my job, I'll make it up with some other investments, let me just get out. But that's the same mentality that your other neighbor thinks, and so he discounts his first for $60,000. And now you see, he got his sold, and he just took a $75,000 loss. So that gets your other person, that gets your other neighbor thinking, and then all of a sudden, that neighbor's thinking, and you have all these people that own these houses are thinking, and are saying, now we've got to lower it. And so then one lowers it for 65, the other one for 70, and now you just missed out on even more money, and it's been sitting and accruing costs. So you got to be smart and say, hey, either I get ahead of this and get rid of it, or I rent it out long term and see if I can cover it, or hold it even longer so I can make up for it. Because if you hold most assets for a long period of time, you most likely will be fine. But there's areas, there's natural disasters, and there's companies that move out of towns and just shakes them up. You can go through Virginia, coal country, and you can see some of these towns that manufacturing left, they look like ghost towns now. So not every town will come back in the way it was. Some, like Detroit, came back with tech, with finance. I think Rocket Mortgage made that like their headquarters, and they're investing heavily into all these other areas. So towns can come back, but it took them a very long time to recover if they're not still under recovery. And you as a home buyer, you as a investor need to be aware of, hey, where are these market trends? And people tell me, you just got to buy, you got to do this and you got to do that. Because you see your neighbor gets a new car, and then your other neighbor gets a new car, and you're sitting there, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then you're like, let me do this too. And then you're keeping up with the Joneses, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tapped out. So you just got to be smart about all of these financial moves that you want to do, and make sure that, hey, I've put in an exit strategy that is pretty solid so I can get out of it. And when I talk in my videos about people losing their jobs, something's going to give, I say, hey, I don't know what exactly is going to give first. Because when you're thinking about all these layoffs and unemployment, the economy just doesn't stop. Americans aren't like, I just lost my job, let me stop eating out, let me stop consuming. No, they'll take a few mental health days, they'll wait for next week to file for unemployment. Then they're like, if it's a millennial, then they say, maybe I'm moving back with my mom, and all these other things. And they're like, it's not so serious, and doing all that. And these are all delays. So all that stuff takes time to hit the marketplace. And real estate isn't liquid. It's not like you can just go out and sell it tomorrow. It's title, it's marketing, it's pictures, it is all these other things that need to happen in order for you to sell your real estate. And so when I say, we're seeing a whole bunch of pop up and it's going to have a downturn, it's going to do this, it might take time, because it's not going to be overnight where these people are going to wake up on here and say, you know what, I just need out. Let me just get out today and be done with it. No, it's most likely going to be a few months, haven't sold, no viewings, let's lower the price. Then waiting, haven't sold, let's lower the price some more. And so it's going to take time. It's not like the stock market where it can lose value within 4 hours, about 3-4%, and then they stop trading. No. With houses, you got to wait. They lower the prices. You got to wait. They lower the prices, and then somebody's going to buy. And when you look at the best investors in the world, and I'm thinking about Warren Buffett. What he does is quite simple. He says, I buy and I hold. And he's been sitting on more cash than ever. And I read articles from all these fake news agencies that were saying that he lost his touch. And when I say that Warren Buffett didn't lose his touch, no, he values money. He values the dollar. He values like, hey, if you're gonna buy something, it needs to be at the right price point. You should not just buy something because you want to buy it and go into the stock. And that's what he's basically saying is, hey, if you buy it, hold it for a very long time. And he's looking at it, and he said multiple times in his investor meetings that, hey, he's sitting on more cash than ever, but nothing makes financial sense for him to buy. And then people were saying, oh, he lost his touch. Well, I personally don't think so. But time will tell. I always know that, hey, stock drops, stock rise, and then he's gonna say, you know what? Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna buy a huge amount, and then it's gonna rise, and we'll see what kind of moves he's gonna make. But yeah, I'm telling you, as Americans, we are in it to win it. And if you're like, oh, everything will be fine, these buy now, pay later, all these types of services are always going to be around, we'll be just fine, and Americans will just doom spend till infinity. Life doesn't work like that. Credit runs out. Credit runs dry. Look at how many times Congress needs to pass a resolution or a bill to say, hey, let's raise the debt ceiling. Let's raise the debt ceiling. It is now every quarter that they're talking about they need to raise the debt ceiling. And if this was a person, you'd be calling your credit card every quarter or every few months, calling them and just saying, hey, I'm thinking about raising my credit limit. And then you hang up. Next week you call again. Hey, can you raise my credit card limit? And you hang up again. And then you call again. And this time you fill out the application for a credit limit increase. And then they say, you know what? You've made all your payments on time. We like you. We're going to increase the limit. And when they do all that, it always devalues people that save. But what I'm seeing right now in the market, you are just golden if you hold cash. And there's people reaching out to me, I don't know what to invest in. I've been trying to save up for a house for a long time, but now I got a pile of cash sitting in my savings account. And I always tell people, your time will come. You'll be in really, really good shape. Just hold on to your cash. And once you want to deploy that money, and once you want to make it happen and find that good deal, you do it. You pounce on it. You negotiate like crazy. Because if there's nobody else in the market buying, you're the only one buying. You dictate the terms. And some people just always complain and say, this is never going to happen. This is wishful thinking. This is all these kind of other things. And I always say, nope. It will come time and a place where all these people that saved up money are going to have some real good times. And those people are going to become super wealthy. Because fortunes are made during downturn markets. And that's kind of where I'm going to end this off, because I feel like a lot of people say, oh, the downturn in the market's going to wreck me. Not if you prepared well, lived within your means, and you have reasonable debt payments, because I'm not against credit cards, I'm not against taking out loans, I'm not against all of that. You do whatever fits your salary, your lifestyle, and you do you at the end of the day, because why not? You only live once. We've all been doing this for the first time, as far as I know. And yeah, it is a great time. This was my last video in Miami. So once I upload and edit this one, I'm going to be back to the desert. Got about 15 mosquito bites from this area. And this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of out. The mugginess is also just getting to me. And I get spoiled in Vegas, where it's just hot and not just humid like crazy. And here it's just like, oh my gosh, it hasn't rained, but it is just humid. You feel it once the sun's out in Miami, oh my gosh, it's just you just start sweating. So yeah, and thanks for all the subscribers, for all the new channel members I have. Gonna make some cool stuff coming up here, and summertime's coming. I'm stoked. During wintertime, it's always kind of like on the hydrating mode because I feel like, oh my gosh, it's cold. I did that. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you haven't, I don't ask people to, hey, like and subscribe anymore, because I rather influence a small amount of people and have those be like people that watch my stuff and say, hey, you know, those are some good thoughts. Maybe I should implement one of this. Maybe I should be a little bit better, look a little closely, find better deals. And if you just take that one thing away from this video, I'm stoked. And I always appreciate you guys spending 10 to 15 minutes with me every day on my walk, even though I'm not really there. But hey, I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll be back in the desert, so all this greenery, got to soak it up one more time before I'm done. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.